Hello! Hi, this is me, Bonnie Smith, live in the Forbidden Library, and I know, this isn't a very, Arthurian location today. But this is because today is the day I'm letting members and patrons join me in VR. So they can sit on these nice little sofas. I wish I could join, but I'm not VR chat. So I'll just sit here like a sad kitten left out in the room. Boo. It is the Bryonical herself. It's a moi. That's okay if you don't have it. I have not been keeping track of Fate Go. I will not lie. I don't know what order call is. But I'll poke my head in if that's the case. You don't have it yourself. Hope the drum for you. Like I said, you don't. You just need a PC. It's free. Just download it. It's a Steam game. It's a free Steam game. Just get it. But anyway, hello everyone. Hello Nimby. Hello No Size Phantom. Hello Boris. Hello Scholars of Iron. Hello any Lockers. Hello any Fathers. Perfect for Carmen to pop up. Oh no. You have a Mac! Oh, well there's your problem. You shouldn't have a Mac. Mac is bad. I walked through my podium for this just to tell you that Macs suck. Everything against Macs. But they're good for design, says one person. But I don't care. I'm used to Windows. I don't know what Macs do. Macs are strange and confusing and weird, and I don't like them. But that's fine. Little people, more people. The link is there, and maybe people will join, maybe not. I was a little worried that too many people would, and it would get chaotic, so less, I guess, is good. What's wrong with the mass accelerator cannon? They rule. Mass accelerator cannon does sound quite fun. You just fire people out of it. So, like, faster. More model scuff. Yes, very much so, Brathian. Very much so. Always model scuff. Always and forever. But what about mac and cheese? I love mac and cheese! Oh, I love a good mac and cheese. That just made me remember like cauliflower cheese. I haven't had cauliflower cheese in a long time. How am I supposed to get a PC with RAM price? You're not wrong. Sorry. It was this very moment I saw the mango sitting next to my desk and I was like, you know what's a good time to eat? On stream. No, it was a good time to eat dried mango? On stream. I don't know, you just gotta go be the goat. Then you need no RAM, because you're a goat. That's really bad, even by my standards. Well, that's okay. I don't mind that there's no one here right now, because that gives me a chance to do a thing that I wasn't sure I was gonna get a chance to do. Because I thought it would end up being chaotic. Window Capucha, where are you? There you are. I read some books. Maybe one book, specifically. So we gotta add it. What's the thing you wanted to do? Just eat more mangoes? I mean, they're great and they're dried, and I just have a giant bag sat by my desk and I just snack on it all day. It's good. Better than a bag of crisps. Yay, books. Yeah. Books, you're allergic. What are you doing here then? This is exposure therapy. That's how you get over allergies, right? No, it's not. Do not, but 307. Hell is dark with no flowers. I read the second one. Don't you steal my mangoes. They're my mangoes. Volume 2. Night novel. By this guy. Hell is dark with no toilets. No, just no flowers. This one's a detective one, where the guy can see people who have done sins as yokai, and it gives you a hint as to what they've done. It's a question of we kind of know who done it, but not why done it, or when done it, or what done it in some cases, because it's not always a murder. It's just mostly always murder. And this second book managed to sort of have fun with it and take that expectation and use it against you. It was very good, very good. That's what we like. Right here. Steal some mangoes. No, they're my mangoes. And this is totally not me leaning to get another mango. Ow. Mangoes are good. Righto. So another thing I did, obviously, with this layout is I put the book down there. So hopefully this isn't too bad for you to read along. If you read along, I don't know how many of you actually do read along, but I like having it there. You know, in case you do. Let me put this book outside. Do you know what's really satisfying when you read another book in a series? When you get to, like, put the two books next to each other, and you have two books in the series next to each other, and you've read them, and you're like, look at my trophy case, and it feels so good. It doesn't feel good when you've bought series and you haven't read them. I don't get the same buzz from that. But putting the books together when you've read them, you're like, haha! Trophy! Can't say if I've done that, Brathy, you should try. You should pick up something like, if you want to get, like, an easy one to do that with, pick up, like, Goosebumps or something. Something really, 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 something pretty easy to read. And then you could put them together on your bookshelf and you'll be like, haha, I did it! I do try to read ahead a little, or try to reread to check I heard you right before writing in the chat. Yeah, and then you put them in your mouth and just let the binding glue seep into your No. Yay, SpookPod! You got the notification! Stream is going well. No one has joined the VR chat, but you know what? We're okay with this. This is fine. Everything is fine. Please don't set me on fire. Okay, let's go. Let's read a book. It's book time. Peanut butter book time. Peanut butter book time. Wait. Anyway. Anon thereafter came word to King Arthur that Rience, King of North Wales, was making war upon King Leodegrance, not Degradance, of Camelgard, whereat he was passing wroth, for he loved Leogrance well, and hated Rience. So he departed with Kings Ban and Bors, and 20,000 men, and came to Camelgard, and rescued Leodegrance, and slew 10,000 of Rice's men, and put him to flight. Then Leodegrance made a great festival to the three kings, and treated them with every manner of mirth and pleasure which could be devised. And there had King Arthur the first sight of Guinevere, daughter of Leodegrance, whom in the end he married, as shall be told hereafter. I would join, but if I didn't have to work, that's fair. That's fair. Work is important. I had to do that today too. I sold so many sausage rolls. Then did King Ban and Bors take leave, and went to their own country, where King Claudas worked great mischief. And King Arthur... There's so many kings! King so-and-so, King so-and-so, King so-and-so, King so-and-so. So many kings. And not much kingdom. And King Arthur would have gone with them, but they refused, saying, Nay, ye shall not have Ye shall not at this time, for ye have yet much to do in these lands of your own. And we, with the riches we have won here by your gifts, shall hire many good knights, and, by the grace of God, withstand the malice of King Claudas. And if we have need, we will send for ye for succour, and likewise ye, if ye have need, send for us, and we will not tarry, by faith of our bodies. I'd buy a sausage roll from Brian and Smith. I wouldn't eat it at prison. No, don't do that. It's a waste of a sausage roll. I remember the good old days when England had so many kings. We're not even that big! How did they split this little island into so many kings? When the two kings had left, King Arthur rode to Carlion, and hither came to him his half-sister Bellicent, wife to King Lot, sent a messenger, but in truth to espy his power. And with her came a noble retinue, and also her 4 sons, Gawain, Gaheris, Agravain, and little baby Gareth. Actually just Gareth, but the fake Go version is absolutely the cutest little baby in the whole of Babyland, and I love him so much. Love her. But when she saw King Arthur and his nobleness and all the splendour of his knights and service, she forbore to spy on him as a foe, and told him of her husband's plots against him and his throne. And the king, not knowing that she was his half-sister, made great court to her, and being full of admiration for her beauty, loved her out of measure, and kept her a long season at Carlton. Oh my! Did he not just marry Gwenny? And he's already coming in on this other woman. Oh, lordy. Gawafuwu, yeah. A king per every 200 square foot sounds about right. Not yet, that's later. Wherefore her husband, King Lot, was more than ever King Arthur's enemy, and hated him till death with a passing great hatred. At that time King Arthur had a marvellous dream, which gave him great disquietness of heart. He dreamed that the whole land was full of many fiery griffins and serpents, which burnt and slew the people everywhere, and then that he himself fought with them, and that they did him mighty injuries, and wounded him nigh to death, but that at last he overcame, and slew them all. When he woke, he sat in great heaviness of spirit and pensiveness, thinking of what this dream might signify. But by and by, when he could by no means satisfy himself what it might mean, to rid himself of all thoughts of it, he made ready with a great company to ride out hunting. As soon as he was in the forest, the king saw a great hart before him, and spurred his horse, and rode long eagerly after it, and chased until his horse lost breath and fell down dead from under him. Then, seeing the hart escaped and his horse dead, he sat down by a fountain, and fell into deep thought again. And as he sat there alone, he thought he heard the noise of hounds, as it were some 30 couple in number, and looking up, he saw coming toward him the strangest beast that ever he had seen or heard tell of, which ran towards the fountain and drank of the water. Its head was like a serpent's, with a leopard's body and a lion's tail, and it was footed like a stag, and the noise was in its belly, as it were the baying or questing of 30 couple of hounds. While it drank, there was no noise within it, but presently, having finished, it departed with a greater sound than ever. Oh, this is a good chance Bryony's descended from royalty. She might even be royal herself, or a park or a patch of land out there. Baron of my tiny house. Baron of the tiny part of the library I call my own. Earl of the mythology part of the Forbidden Library. Hello, Ludwig, welcome. The king was amazed at all this, but being greatly wearied, he fell asleep, and was before long whacked up by a knight on foot, who said, "Knight full of thought and sleepy, tell me if thou sawest a strange beast pass this way." Such a one saw. "Such a one I saw," said King Arthur to the knight, "but that is now 2 miles distant at least. What would you do with that beast?" "Sir," said the knight, "I have followed it for a long time. I have killed my horse, and would to heaven I had another to pursue my quest withal. Sorry if this isn't related, but the thing with Magitech is that it falls into the trap of lacking imagination. It feels the same. Indeed, Ludwig. I am trapped in the library until I read 10,000 books. It's really mean, because all I did was knock over some books, but no, the library guardian was like, "No, 10,000 books, bro." And here we are. We have many left. Hello, Doppel! It doth please me exceedingly to behold the new writing. Yeah, it's me. In the Forbidden Library /VR chat / a cat cafe. Yeah! Start charging the guardian of the library a toll every time they enter. No! That's how we get into 1 million books. God, no. We can't be doing that. God. In fact, he'd probably add 100 books just for me claiming ownership of a little bit of the library. Let's face that fact. At that moment came a yeoman with another horse for the king, which, when knight saw, he earnestly prayed to be given him. "For I have followed this quest," said he, 12 months, and either I shall achieve him, or bleed of the best blood of my body. It was King Pellinore, who, at the time, followed the questing beast, but neither he nor King Arthur knew each other. Yet another bloody king! There's so many of them! Where are all these kings coming from? 1 million books, that's rookie numbers. Time to... No, not 1 more billion books. No. If we're doing that, then I do have to start taking the piss. And I have to start, like, slowly reading my way through the entirety of SCP. That's the only way I'm gonna get it. "Sir Knight," said King Arthur, "leave that quest, and suffer me to have it. I will follow it another 12 months. "Ah, fool," said the knight, "thy desire is utterly in vain, for it shall never be achieved but by me, or by my next of kin." Therewith he started to the king's horse, and mounted to the saddle, crying out, "Grimacery, this horse is mine!" "Well," said the king, "thou mayest take my horse by force, and I will not say nay. But till we prove whether thou or I be best on horseback, I shall not rest. I shall not rest content. Seek me here," said the knight, "whenever thou wilt, and here by this foundation thou shalt find me." And so he passed forth on its way. Is he trying to... You do not get an individual card for the library just by becoming a member. However, if you go to my Kofi in the shop, or commission, one or the other, there is a printable library card. So you can print out your own library card for the library. And be like, haha, I have a library card. Back then, all you needed to be king was a small castle and a guy following you around in plate armor with coconuts. Coconuts. Seek me here. I just said that one. 1 second. Okay. Then sat King Arthur in a deep fit of study, and bade his yeomen fetch him yet another horse as quickly as they could. And when they left him all alone, came Merlin, disguised as a child of 14 years of age, and saluted the king, and asked him why he was so pensive and heavy. I may well be pensive and heavy, he replied, for here, even now, I have seen the strangest sight I ever saw. That know I well. Gosh, it's hard with this old style grammar, said Merlin, as well as thyself, and also all thy thoughts, but thou art foolish to take thought, for it will not amend thee. Also I know that thou art, and know thy father and thy mother. That is false, said King Arthur. How shouldest thou know? Thy years are not enough. Yea, said Merlin, but I know better than thou how thou was born, and better than any man living. Smuggle me out in a bookshelf. You can try. Hello, sweetie. Welcome. I will not believe thee, said King Arthur, and was wroth with the child. So Merlin departed, and came again in the likeness of an old man of 80 years of age. And the king was glad at his coming, for he seemed wise and venerable. Then said to the old man, Why art thou so sad? For divers reasons, said King Arthur, for I have seen strange things today, and but this moment there was a child who told me things beyond his years to know. Yea, said the old man, but he told thee truth, and more he would have told thee hadst thou suffered him. But I will tell thee wherefore thou art sad, for thou hast done a thing of late for which God is displeased with thee, and what it is thou knowest in thy heart, though no man else may know. Oh, I've seen book. I actually got one of these as a Christmas present for a friend once. It was a candle that smelled like old books. I was supposed to. I don't know if it actually did, but it was supposed to. I can't believe they had Stranger Things in the medieval day. Oh no, so quasi. What art thou? Said King Arthur, starting up all pale, that tellest me these tidings? I am Merlin, said he, and I was he in the child's likeness also. Ah, said King Arthur, thou art a marvellous and right fearful man, and I would ask and tell thee many things this day. As they talked, came one with the king's horses, and so King Arthur mounting one, and Merlin another, they rode together to Carlion, and Merlin prophesied to Arthur of his death, and also foretold his own end. And now King Arthur, having utterly dispersed and overwhelmed those kings who had so long delayed his coronation, turned all his mind to overthrow the Saxon heathens, who yet in many places spoiled the land. Calling together, therefore, his knights and men-at-arms, he rode with all his hosts to York, where Colgrin, the Saxons, lay with a great army. And there he fought a mighty battle, long and bloody, and drove him into the city, and besieged him. Then Baldulf, Colgrin's brother, came secretly with 6,000 men to assail King Arthur, and to raise the siege. But King Arthur was aware of him, and sent 600 horsemen and 3,000 footmen to meet and fall on him instead. This, therefore, they did, encountering them at midnight, and utterly defeating them, till they fled away for their life. But Baldulf, full of grief, resolved to share his brother's peril, wherefore he shaved his head and beard, and disguised himself as a jester, and so passed through King Arthur's camp, singing and playing on a harp, till by degrees he drew near to the city walls, where presently he made himself known, and was drawn up by ropes into the town. Good Lord. Bibliophers find flavour in the scent of antiquated tomes. You find flavour in antiquated times. Anon, while Arthur closely watched the city, came news that full 600 ships had landed, countless swarms of Saxons under Chedric on the eastern coast. At that he raised the siege, and marched straight to London, and there increased his army, and took counsel with his barons on how to drive the Saxons from the land for everyone. Then, with his nephew Hull, I'm just gonna call him Hull, king of the Amacronian Britons, who came with a great force to help him, King Arthur, with a mighty multitude of barons, knights, and fighting men, went swiftly up to Lincoln, which the Saxons lay besieging, and there he fought a passing fierce battle, and made grievous slaughter, killing above 6,000 men, till the main body of them turned and fled. But he pursued them hotly into the woods of Celadon, where, sheltering themselves among the trees from his arrows, they made a stand, and for a long season bravely defended themselves. Anon he ordered all the trees in that part of the forest to be cut down, leaving no shelter or ambush, and with their trunks and branches made a mighty barricade, which shut them in and hindered their escape. After 3 days, brought nigh to death by famine, they offered to give their wealth of gold and silver spoils, and depart forthwith in their empty ships, moreover, to pay tribute to King Arthur when they reached their home, and to leave him hostages till all was paid. Good Lord! These paragraphs have so much happening in them, like... So, he fought some guys at Lincoln, they fled into the forest, he cut down a lot of the forest, and then they trapped them in the forest till they started starving, and then they offered everything to them because otherwise they were gonna die. I confess, I am at loss for a rejoinder, yet be it sent fresh or of age, 'tis ever a pleasing fragrance. Yeah. It's actually pronounced Jiminy Cricket. I would run to if a British person was choosing. If they tried to make me learn their monetary system prior to when the... Oh god, I'm so glad I was not alive for that. Yeah. I like our pounds and pennies, thank you. More stuff happens in these paragraphs than in the entire Twilight. Oh, correct. These paragraphs are so chunky. This offer, therefore, he accepted, and suffered them to depart. But when they had been a few hours at sea, they repented for their shameful flight, and turned their ships back again, landing in Totnes, ravaged all the lands as far as Severn, and burning and slaying on all sides, bent their steps towards Bath. When King Arthur heard of their treachery and their return, he burned with anger till his eyes shone like two torches. And then he swore a mighty oath to rest no more until he had utterly destroyed those enemies of God and man, and had rooted them for every out of the land of Britain. Then marching hotly with his armies onto the Bath, he cried onto Bath, not into the Bath, into Bath. He cried aloud to them, "Since these detestable, impetuous heathens disdain to keep their faith with me, to keep faith with God, to whom I swear to cherish and defend this realm, I will not this day avenge them on the blood of all that they have slain in Britain." Oh well, we're talking about Bath, the place in England, not bath as in taking a bath. Yeah, hi Ben, welcome. Fun fact, see, some spies were caught in World War II because they messed up with the money. Wonderful, it's a security system as well. Perchance I ought forbear to interject, desiring solely to attend her narrative, as she doth relate it, while I repose abide with mine eyes shut. No problem, you may lurk. Lurking is welcome. I'm here to entertain, and you may absorb said entertainment in whichever way you please. Bath, home of the fine showers. I don't know, I've never been to Bath. I don't know what's there. In the like manner after him spoke the Archbishop, standing upon a hill, and crying that today they should fight both for their country and for paradise. For whoso, he said, shall in this holy war be slain, the angels shall forthwith receive him. For death in this cause shall be penance and absolution for all sins. Oh, good Lord. Religion. Religion's scary, bro. How could I get pure undiluted brownium injected into my earbuds? Buy my audiobook. At these words, every man in the whole army raged with hatred and pressed eagerly to rush upon those savages. I've never felt so British. I've never felt so in tune with my terrible ancestors. Anon King Arthur, dressed in armour, shining with gold and jewels, and wearing on his head a helmet with a golden dragon, took a shield painted with the likeness of the blessed Mary. Then, girding on Excalibur, and taking in his right hand the great lance Ron, he placed his men in order and led them out against the enemy, who stood for battle on the slope of Baden Hill, ranged in the form of a wedge, as their custom was, and they, resisting all the onslaught of King Arthur and his host, made that day a stout defence, and at night lay down upon the hill. Coming soon, briny noises 1 hour mix. Could be done. I have no idea where to start. I just have to go back to my first stream and then just slowly go through and collect all the briny noises. That would take so long! But it'd be so worth it. But on next day, King Arthur led his army once again to the attack, and with wounds and slaughter, such as no man had ever seen before, he drove the heathen step by step before him, backwards and upwards, until he stood with all his noblest knights upon the summit of the hill. And then men saw him, red as the rising sun, from spur to plume, lift up his sword, and kneeling, kiss the cross of it, and after rising to his feet, set might and main with all his fellowship upon the foe, till, as a troop of lions roaring for their prey, they dove them like a scattered herd along the plains, and cut them down till they could cut no more for weariness. That day King Arthur himself alone slew with his word Excalibur 470 heathens. Colgrin also, and his brother Baldulf was slain. Then the king bade Cador, Duke of Cornwall, follow Cheldric, the chief leader, and the remnant of his hosts unto the uttermost. He, therefore, when he had first seized their fleet and filled it with chosen men, to beat them back when they should fly to it at last, chased them, and slew them without mercy, so long as he could overtake them. And though they crept with trembling hearts for shelter to the coverts of the woods and dens of mountains, yet even so they found no safety, for Cador slew them, even one by one. Last of all he caught and slew Celdric himself, and slaughtering a great multitude, took hostages for the surrender of the rest. Bloodthirsty as fudge nuggets. If Arthur wasn't our protagonist, he'd make a great villain. Because this is just scary. Bro's murdered so many people. Oh, lordy. Did I miss why the lance is called Ron? Because it kind of sucks compared to... I have no idea why the lance is called Ron. This is the first mention of the Lance of Ron. Everyone loves giving their weapons. Everyone should give their weapons silly names. They all make tasty stew. Good lord. Meanwhile, King Arthur turned from Badon Hill and freed his nephew Hole from the Scots and Picts who besieged him in Alcud. And when he had defeated them in 80 battles, he drove them before him to a lake, which was one of the most wondrous lakes in all the world. For it was fed by 60 rivers, and had 60 islands, and 60 rocks, and on every island 60 eagles' nests. But King Arthur with a great fleet sailed round the rivers, and besieged them in the lake for 15 days, so that many thousands died of hunger. How many has he killed? / caused the murder? I did not know there would be so much murder in this. I did not know there'd be more murder in this than like any other book we've read combined. I wish we had. We should figure out a kill count. One of the greatest lakes in all the world. It's just doing some paddle boats. I know, right? Surely there's not this many people in England. So bitterly, therefore, did he treat them, giving quarter to no one, that at length the bishops of that miserable country with the clergy met together, and bearing all the holy relics came barefoot to the king to pray his mercy for their people. As soon as they were led before him, they fell down upon their knees and piteously besought him to spare the few survivors of their countrymen, and grant them any corner of the land where they might live in peace. When he thus heard them, and knew that he had now fully punished them, he consented to their prayer, and withdrew his hosts from any further slaughter. Then turned he back to his own realm, and came to York for Christmas, and there, with high solemnity, observed that holy tide, and being passing grieved to see the ruin of the churches and houses, which the rage or the pagans had destroyed, he rebuilt them, and restored the city to its ancient happy state. And on a certain day, as the king sat with his barons, there came into court a squire on horseback, carrying a knight before him wounded to the death, and told the king that hard by in the forest was a knight who had reared up a pavilion by the fountain, and hath slain my master, a valiant knight, whose name was Nerles. Wherefore, I beseech thee, lord, my master may be buried, and that some good knight may avenge his death. Grifflet, Grifflet! I feel like that passage was just insulting Northumbria. As the remains of the heathens, Arthur couldn't be bothered to kill. I read another one called Gawain and the Green Knight. We haven't read that one on stream. Maybe we should at some point, but it might even be in this book, to be fair. But that one also specifically insults some areas I'm aware of in the northwest of England, and it was very funny. It described one of the areas as the savages that God had given up on. It was wonderful. I shared it with my family. At that stepped forth a squire named Grifflet, who was very young, being of the same age with King Arthur, and besought the king for all the service he had done to give him knighthood. Thou art full young and of tender of age, said King Arthur, to take so high an order upon thee. Sir, said Grifflet, I beseech thee to make me a knight. And Merlin also advising the king to grant his request. Well, said Arthur, be it then so, and knighted him forthwith. Then said he to him, since I have granted thee this favour, thou must in turn grant me a gift. Savages, the god had given him clearly Birmingham. Everyone says Birmingham. Whatsoever thou wilt, my lord. Promise me, said King Arthur, by the faith of thy body, that when thou hast jousted with this knight at the fountain, thou will return to me straightway, unless he slay thee. I promise, said Grifflet, and taking his horse in haste, he dressed his shield, and took a spear in his hand, and rode full gallop, till he came to the fountain, by the side of which he saw a rich pavilion, and a great horse standing well saddled and bridled, and on a tree close by there hung a shield of many colours, and a long lance. Then Sir Grifflet smote upon the shield with the butt of his spear until he cast it to the ground. At that a knight came out of the pavilion and said, Fair knight, why smote ye down my shield? Because, said Grifflet, I would joust with thee. Benjamin typed Bert. Honestly, joining this community has, by osmosis, taught me about Britain from all the books. Side tangents, jokes. I think we need to have Brady become a cultural ambassador for Britain. I mean, I'd do that. Yeah. Hire me, government. Give me money. Only if I get paid. I ain't doing that shit for free. I ain't doing shit for free. Not for my government. It were better not, replied the knight, for thou art young and but lately made knight, and thy strength is small compared to mine. For all that, said Sir Griflet, I will joust with ye. Brownie, cultural ambassador, Britain, and #1 idol chef. Piece idol shit. Yeah. I am full loth, replied the knight, but if I must, I must. I ain't doing shit for free, not for my government. Honestly, that's how patriotic any regular British should be. You should, I like bits of my country, but you should always question your government a little bit. Just a tiny, weeny bit. Especially when they're caught spending government money on that. Nope, let's not go down this rabbit hole. We're talking about King Arthur. The most murderous of our kings, apparently. Let's go. Then did they wheel their horses far apart, and running them together, the strange knight shivered Sir Griflet's spear. Yeah? Shivered Sir Griflet's spear into fragments, and smote him through the shield and the left side, and broke his own spear into Griflet's body, so that the truncheon stuck there, and Sir Griflet and his horse fell down. But when the strange knight saw him overthrown, he was sore grieved, and hastily alighted, for he thought that he had slain him. And he unlaced his helm, and gave him air, and tended him carefully, till he came out of his swoon. And leaving the truncheon of his spear in his body, he set him upon his horse, and commended him to God, and said that he had a mighty heart, and if he lived, would prove a passing good knight. And so Sir Griflet rode to the court, where, by aid of good physicians, he was healed in time, and his life saved. Truncheon, Matilda reference. Truncheon, the weapon, but maybe. I'll think of all the goodwill Brownie has generated next time I toss tea in his arm. Yes, please. If you're gonna waste your tea, send it to me. I won't let my government have it. It'll just be my tea. You won't get taxed on tea for me. Maybe, I don't know. Probably still tariffed on it, but I can't control that. But I like tea, so send it. Don't put it in the harbor. Give it to me. Send it to the Forbidden Library. At that time, there came before the king 12 old men. My tea brand is my tea now. Boris gets arrested in tax evasion for smuggling tea to the UK. It was a sacrifice I am willing to make. It's fine. We'll do a subathon for your bail money. If you're gonna waste tea, make sure it's Twinings, just so it's not a great loss. Also, toss some jammy dodgers. Not the jammy dodgers! Also, like, Tetley is probably the best one to go for if you want to do a tea that no one's really gonna miss. I like Tetley decaf, but you know, Tetley's questionable. Just don't do the Yorkshire. Just don't do the York. Promise me, if you're gonna do this, don't touch the Yorkshire tea. We need that. We survive off that. At the same time, there came before the king 12 old men, ambassadors from Lucius Tiberius, Emperor of Rome, and demanded of Arthur tribute unto Caesar for his realm, or else Said they, the emperor would destroy both him and his land, to whom King Arthur answered that he owed the emperor no tribute, nor would send him any. But, said he, on a fair field I will pay him his proper tribute, with a sharp spear and sword, and by my father's soul that tribute shall he take from me, whether he will or not. So the ambassadors departed, passing wrath, and King Arthur was as wroth as they. So wrath is a ye old word for anger, evidently. My local supermarket sells jammy dodgers, and I always buy them thinking of me. Aww. I like to be associated with the jammy dodger. Don't do the Yorkshire tea! I told you, no, do not put the Yorkshire tea in the sea, please. Yorkshire tea, no sea. Yorkshire tea, not in the sea. Yorkshire tea, not in the sea. It might rhyme, but don't do it. Hello, CH6, welcome. Amend it, defend it was the world's first prototype of pop. Pop it, amend it, defend it. I would with a good will, said King Arthur, but I have no more spears. I have enough spears, replied the knight, and called a squire, who brought 2 good new lances. Then, spurring their horse, they rushed together with all their might, and broke each one his own spear short off in his hand. Then the king again put his hand to his sword, but the knight once more cried out, Nay, yet abide a while, ye are the best jouster I have met with. For the love of knighthood, let us joust yet once again. Oh my, he's so good at jousting. Just stay forever, Kingy. Went to Japan and Korea recently and managed to find a copy of Hellscreen and Wings. Oh my god, CH6! Jelly. Very jelly. Morgan was not originally his sister, but fused with more ghosts as time has gone. Yeah, this is just the interpretation of the guy who compiled these stories for us. Jousting with jesters, but jesters do but jester the joust. And so, again, they tilted with their fullest force, and this time King Arthur's spear was shivered, but the knights held whole, and drove so furiously against the king, that both his horse and he were hurled to the ground. Jousting the jest, and the jest of the joust, and the joust of the jest, and the jest of the joust. At that, King Arthur was enraged, and drew his sword, and said, I will attack thee now, Sir Knight, on foot, for on horseback I have lost the honour. I will be on horseback, said the knight. But when he saw him come on foot, he lighted from his horse, thinking it shame to have so great advantage. And then a strong battle. And then began they a strong battle, with many strokes and grievous blows, and so hewed with their swords that the fragments of their armour flew about the fields, and both so bled that all the ground around was like a marsh of blood. Thus they fought long and mightily, and anon after brief rest fell again, and so hurtled together like 2 wild boars, that they rolled to the ground. At last their swords clashed furiously together, and the knight's sword shivered the king's in 2. And then said the knight, Now art thou in my power, to save thee or to slay thee. Yield therefore as defeated, and resent a knight, or thou shalt surely die. Let me just finish my tea, it's getting cold. And then they fought, and then Arthur got hit, and then Merlin made him better. Then the knight got drunk, and then yeah, it's very much like that, isn't it? Prose has improved, or at least this person was not a talented writer in that respect. As for death, replied King Arthur, welcome be it when it cometh, but as for yielding me to thee as a recreant because of this poor accident upon my sword, I had far liefer die than be so ashamed. So saying, he sprang on the knight, and took him by the middle, and threw him down, and tore off his helm. But the knight, being a huge man, wrestled and struggled in a frenzy with the king until he brought him under and tore off his helm in turn, and would have smitten off his head. At that came Merlin and said, Knight, hold thy hand, for if thou slayest yonder knight, thou puttest all this realm to greater loss and damage than ever realm was in. For he is a man of greater worship than thou dreamest of. Then who is he? Cried the knight. Arthur Pendragon, answered Merlin. Then would he have slain him for dread of his wrath, but Merlin cast a spell on the knight, so that he fell suddenly to the earth in a deep sleep. Then raising up the king, he took the king's horse for himself and rode away. Alas, said King Arthur, what hast thou done, Merlin? Hast thou slain this good knight by thy crafts? There never lived a better knight, and I rather lose my kingdom for a year than have him dead. Oh, hi, Maiden! Yep, VR chat stream. Maiden, you are in fact a member. Currently, so you can use the link to join the stream if you wish. Be not afraid, said Merlin. He is more whole and sound than thou art, and is but in sleep, wherefrom in 3 hours he will awake. I told thee what a knight he was, but now near thou wast dead. There liveth not a better knight than he in all the world, and hereafter he shall do thee good service. Can everyone guess who this knight is? I don't think my friend is getting VR chat anytime soon. Boo. 10. Everyone put your guess. It's not Lance. It's totally not Lancelot. It's definitely not Lancelot. It's definitely the bestest Lancelot. Entering VR chat is Gilgamesh. Epic entry. You can. You could just enter an aura farm in the back. I'm happy about that. By all means. As long as you don't come in with like a Nike mod, that's fine. Brave Sir Robin. Oh god, that would be funny. Ted Knight. Oh, it's Pellinor! Is King Pellinor, and he shall have 2 sons, who shall be passing valiant men. Lamrock! And, save one another, shall have no equal in prowess and in purity of life. The one shall be named Percival, and the other Lamrock of Wales. I feel like I need to put in the accent for that. Lamrock. Howdy, welcome. They rode on to Carlion, and all the knights grieved greatly when they heard of this adventure. I thought it was going to be Lancelot, but apparently not. It's Pellinor. Pendragon is such a good name for a king. If Arthur's last name was Bofus, no one would take him seriously. It's true. It's true. That the king would jeopardize his person thus alone, yet they could not hide their joy at serving under such a noble chief, who adventured his own life as much as he did the poorest knight among them all. I know. Where is Lancelot? We'll get there. We'll get there. We're only 16% of the way into this book, so I'm sure we'll get there. So we're on to chapter 4. King Arthur's conquest of Ireland, Norway, slays the giant of Sir Michael's Mount, and conquers Gaul. The adventures of Sir Balin. Many things. Many things. Arthur Bofus, son of Ulfric Sugman. Chapter 4, Lancelot shows up. Should we have a quick look at the chapter titles? So this one's pretty big. Chapter 5, Sir Balin smites the Dolorous Stroke and fights with his brother Sir Balin. So Ballad and Sir Balin, that's going to be fun. Casually conquering Ireland, Norway, and Gaul. Yeah, just casually. Marriage of King Arthur and Queen Guinevere, the founding of the Round Table, and the Adventure of Heart. So we probably won't get Lancelot for a little bit, if that's the case. 1 second. Okay, let's go back. I thought it was going to be Lancelot, because Lancelot's supposed to be the bestest knight of all the bestestness. The best knight in all the bestest town, you know? Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Did I go too far? I went too far. Pro Guinevere Lancelot ship. We know how that ends. So you're against Camelot then, because that was kind of the trigger for everything to burn to the ground. I'll just sleep with the king's waifu. That won't go badly, honest. Yeah. Out here trying to gacha all the knights of the round and out of this medieval text. Yes! But we didn't. We got Sir Pellinor, who evidently is also a very good knight, but he spends his time just sat on his arse, waiting for people to joust him. He really wants to be jousted. He really wants to thrust his stick at other knights, you know? You like that Jacob Fellowship from Twilight? Yep. The land of Britain being now in peace, and many great and valiant knights therein ready to take part in whatsoever battles or adventures might arise, King Arthur resolved to follow all his enemies to their own coasts. Anon he fitted out a great fleet, and sailing first to Ireland, in one battle he miserably routed the people of the country. The King of Ireland also he took prisoner, and forced all earls and barons to pay him homage. So apparently Ireland fell in just one battle. How to figure out that this is fiction or not? Having conquered Ireland, he went next to Iceland, and subdued it also, and the winter being then arrived, returned to Britain. In the next year he set forth to Norway, whence many times the heathen had descended from on the British coasts, for he was determined to give so terrible a lesson to those savages, as should be told through all their tribes both far and near, and make his name fearful to them. As soon as he was come to Riculf, the king, with all power of that country, met and gave him battle. But after mighty slaughter the Britons had at length the advantage, and slew Riculf, and a countless multitude besides. Having thus defeated them, they set the cities on fire, dispersed the country people, and pursued the victory, till they had reduced all Norway, as so Dacia, under the dominion of King Arthur. Now, therefore, having thus chastised those pagans who so long had harassed Britain, and put his yoke upon them, he voyaged on to Gaul, being steadfastly set upon defeating the Roman governor of that province, and so beginning to make good on the threats which he had sent the emperor by his ambassadors. So soon he was landed on the shores of Gaul, there came to him a countryman, who told him of a fearful giant in the land of Brittany, who had slain, murdered, and devoured many people, and had lived for 7 years upon young children only, insomuch, said the man, that all the children of the country are destroyed, and but the other day he seized upon our Duchess as she rode out with her men, and took her away to his lodgings in a cave of a mountain, and through 500 people followed her. Yet could they give her no help or rescue, but left her shrieking and crying lamently in the giant's hands. And Lord, she is thy cousin Hole's wife, who is thy near kindred. Wherefore, as thou art a rightful king, have pity on this lady, and as thou art a valiant conqueror, avenge us and deliver us. Conquering continents, as the founding of the table intended. Yeah. Oh yes, the British culture of colonizing and destroying other pagan cultures. A tales all the time. Yes. This is a wonderful demonstration of how shit we were. Alas, said King Arthur, this is a great mischief that ye tell of. I had rather than the best realm I have, and I had rescued the lady ere the giant laid his hands on her. But tell me now, good fellow, canst thou bring me where this giant haunteth? Yea, lord, replied the man, lo yonder where thou seest 2 great fires, there shalt thou find him, and more treasure also than is in all Gaul besides. Sun shall never set on the British Empire. No, the sun has already set on the British Empire. And anyone who tells you different is an idiot. Then the king returned to his tent, and calling Sir Kay and Sir Bedwin, desired them to get horses ready for himself and them, for that after Evan's song he would ride a pilgrimage with them alone to St. Michael's Mount. So in the evening they departed, and rode as fast as they could till they came near the mount there, and there alighted. And the king commanded the 2 knights to await him at the foot of the hill, while he went up alone. Yes, I just chose you guys to come because I wanted someone to chat with on the way here. Yes, wait here. I'm going to do all the fun stuff. Goodbye. It would have been epic if Britain built their empire with cool night battles and awesome magic sword instead of hyper-capitalist East India Company, which is significantly less cool. True! Very true. The sun can never set if it's constantly covered by clouds and soot from the coal mines. Yes! But we yearn for the mines. Capitalism is the language of the gods. Capitalism is the language of greed. Human greed. We did also use guns. When capitalism failed, we used guns. But mostly capitalism. Then he ascended the mountain till he came to a great fire, and there he found a sorrowful widow, wringing her hands and weeping miserably, sitting by a new-made grave. And saluting her, King Arthur prayed her wherefore she made such heavy lamentations. Sir Knight, she said, speak softly, for yonder is a devil, who, if he hear thy voice, will come and straightway slay thee. Alas, what dost thou here? 50 such men as thou were powerless to resist him. Here lieth dead my lady, Duchess of Brittany, wife to Sir Hole, who was the fairest lady in the world, fully and shamefully slaughtered by that fiend. Beware that thou go not too high, for he hath overcome and vanquished 15 knights, and hath made himself a coat of precious stones embroidered with their beards. beards would be hard to... Unless they were really long beards. Really hard to make thread out of. No problem, Boris. Thank you for coming. I've had this whole conversation look longer than the whole conquest of Ireland. Yeah, that's correct. The children learn for assembly lines. Why do you all think they enjoy Legos? True. Me polishing the Enfield rifle for tis my enemy. It's so strange that Brittany is an Arthurian name. It always felt so pop neon culture. True. Conquest could always wait for some apology. But if thou art hardy, and wilt speak with him at yonder great fire he is at supper. Well, said King Arthur, I will accomplish mine errand, and all thy fearful words. And so went forth to the crest of the hill, and saw where the giant sat at supper, gnawing on a limb of a man, and baking his huge frame by the fire, while 3 damsels turned 3 spits, whereupon were spitted like larks 12 young children lately born. Yeah, bye. That's awful. Brittany Spears might be a famous personality. Oh no. Oh no. When King Arthur saw all that, his heart bled for sorrow, and he trembled for rage and indignation. Then, lifting up his voice, he cried aloud, God that wieldeth all the world, give thee short life and shameful death, and may the devil have thy soul! Why hast thou slain those children, and that fair lady? Wherefore arise, and prepare thee to perish, thou glutton and fiend, for this day shalt die by my hands! Let me just make this bigger so we can see this picture a little better. Picture! Wait a minute. Picture! Poor ladies. La 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 la. A picture. We love pictures in books. The oldest English word is understand. That's fun. And cute. The Grand Wizard, Saviour of all, Protector of the Lamb, Lord of Magic, Conqueror of the Stars! Jim. Earthworm Jim. Then the giant, mad with fury at these words, started up, and seizing a great club smote the king, and struck his crown off his head. But King Arthur smote him with his sword so mightily in return, that all his blood gushed forth in streams. At that the giant, howling in great anguish, threw away his club of iron, and caught the king in both his arms, and strove to crush his ribs together. But King Arthur struggled and writhed and twisted him about, so that the giant could not hold him tightly, and as they fiercely wrestled, they both fell, and rolling over one another, tumbled, wrestling and struggling and fighting frantically from rock to rock till they came to the sea. And as they tore and strove and tumbled, the king ever anon smote at the giant with his dagger, till his arms stiffened in death around Arthur's body, and groaned horribly, he died. So presently the 2 knights came and found the king locked fast in the giant's arms, a very faint and weary, and loosed him from their hold. Then the knights bade Sir Kay to smite the giant's head and set it on a truncheon of a spear, and bear it to Sir Hole, and tell him that his enemy is slain, and afterwards let it be fastened to the castle gate, that all the people may behold it. And go ye too up on the mountain, and fetch me my shield and sword, and also the great club of iron ye will see. For as the treasure, ye shall find there wealth beyond counting, but take as much as ye will, for I will have his kirtle and the club. I desire no more. You know, what about the ladies you need to say? What about the damsels in distress? It did sound a wee bit yawy. This is Jim from the IT department, Grand Wizard, Savior of all, Protector of the Realm, Lord of Magic, Conqueror of all stars. How may I help you? Arthur and the giant fought until they came to the sea, and the giant became stiff in his arms. Oh my! Yes, indeed. One must embrace the yaoi. Yes, do not question. Embrace the yaoi. Then the knights fetched the club and kirtle, as the king had ordered, and took the treasure to themselves, but as much as they could carry, and returned to the army. But when this deed was noised abroad, all the people came in multitudes to thank the king, who told them to give thanks to God, and to divide the giant's spoils among them equally. The king... I feel like I haven't been facing the camera this whole time. And King Arthur desired Sir Hole to build a church upon the mount, and dedicate it to the Archangel Michael. Chivalry starved. Yep. Arthur is a feminist, so let the damsels rescue themselves. Maybe the real damsel was the giant we fought along the way. Archangel Michael mentioned. Heck yeah. On the morrow, all the host moved onwards into the country of Champagne, and follow the Roman tribune, retired before them into Paris. But while he was preparing to collect more forces from the neighbouring countries, King Arthur came upon him unawares, and besieged him in the town. And when a month had passed, full of grief at the starvation of his people, who died in hundreds day by day, sent to King Arthur and desired that they two might fight together, for he was a man of mighty stature and courage, and thought himself sure of the victory. This challenge King Arthur, full weary of the siege, accepted with great joy, and sent back word to follow that he would meet him whensoever he appointed. Okay, but it's a wee bit rude. A bit rude. And a truce being made on both sides, they met together the next day on the island without the city, where all the people also were gathered to see the issue. And as the king and follow rode up to the lists, each was so nobly armed and horsed, and sat so mightily upon his saddle, that no man could tell which way the battle would end. When they had saluted one another, and presented themselves against each other with their lances aloft, they put spurs to their horses and began a fierce encounter. But King Arthur, carrying his spear more warily, struck it on the upper part of Follow's breast, and flung him from the saddle to the earth. But he cried to him to rise, and rushed upon him. But Follow, starting up, met him with his spear crouched, and pierced the breast of King Arthur's horse, and overthrew both horse and man. The Britons, when they saw their king upon the ground, could scarcely keep themselves from breaking up the truce and falling on the Gauls. But as they were about to burst the barriers and rush upon the lists, King Arthur hastily arose, and guarding himself with his shield, ran with speed on follow. And now they renewed the assault with great rage, being solely bent upon each other's death. At length Follow, seizing his advantage, gave King Arthur a huge stroke upon the helm, which nigh overthrew him, and drew forth his blood in streams. Hearing angel names and feminism, I suddenly reminded of those medieval artworks of the Virgin Mary, which the most bored-faced beating demons while an angel carrying a baby Jesus just watches from the side. I've seen a couple of those. It's so good. But yes, that is Christian feminism right there. We stand for badass Mary. You guys, is it fun down there in the gutter, guys? But when King Arthur saw his armour and shield red with blood, he was inflamed with fury, and lifting up Excalibur on high with all his might, he struck straight through the helm into Follow's head, and smote it into halves. And Follow, falling backwards and tearing up the ground with his spurs, expired. As soon as this news spread, the citizens ran together, and opening the gates, surrendered the city to the conquerors. And when he had overrun the whole province with his arms, and reduced it everywhere to subjugation, he returned again to Britain, and held his court at Carlion, with greater state than ever. Hot sweaty dude, just struggling. Oh my. Gutter is comfier than Birmingham apart. God has given up on Birmingham, that's for sure. You like the murky gutter sky. Good, I'm glad you're comfy down there. I don't want to. It's too... It's dirty, I don't want to be down there. That's all you guys. Anon he invited thereto all the kings, dukes, earls, and barons who owed him homage, that he might treat them royally and reconcile them to each other, and to his rule. And never was there a city more fit and pleasant for such festivals, for on one side it was washed by a noble river, so that the kings and princes from the countries beyond sea might conveniently sail up to it, and on the other side the beauty of the groves and meadows, and the stateliness and magnificence of the royal palaces, with lofty gilded roofs, made it even rival the grandeur of Rome. It was famous also for two great and noble churches, whereof one was built in honour of the martyr Julius, and adorned with a choir of virgins who had devoted themselves wholly to the service of God, and the other, founded in memory of Sir Aaron, his companion, maintained a covenant of canons, and was the third metropolitan church of Britain. Besides, there was a college of 200 philosophers learned in astronomy, and all the other sciences and arts. Astronomy, and all those other not so important arts and sciences. You can have plenty of wastage. The donuts only last a day. If there's any donuts at the end of the day, we'll throw that into the gutter for you. Schrodinger's got a theory. In this place, therefore, full of such delights, King Arthur held his court, with many jousts and tournaments and royal huntings, and rested for a season after all his wars. And on a certain day there came into the court a messenger from Rience. Wasn't this an enemy? King of North Wales, bearing his message from his master, that King Rience had discomfited 11 kings, and had compelled each one of them to cut off his beard, and he had trimmed a mantle with these beards, and lacked but one more beard to finish it, and that he therefore now sent for King Arthur's beard, which he required from him forthwith. What? I need to look up the, cultural significance of beards in this time. Because this is the second time we've had someone, take ownership of a man's beard. Is it what's the word? Like a safe for work deballing for taking their manliness, their beard, without taking their actual manhood. Beard. Or does... If we're going for the yaoi, does he mean Guinevere? Which he required from him forthwith, or else he would enter his lands and burn and slay, and never leave them until he had taken by force not his beard only, but his head also. Beards are cool. Dude just casually collects beards to make a mantle, a bad scarf. Like I said, trying to make yarn out of beards would be wild. Most famous say, by Merlin's beard. That's true. That is a famous saying. This ruffian wishes to twinkify King... That is true. King Arthur's quite young. So if you took off his beard, he'd look like 14. So that's why he doesn't want to give up his beard. When King Arthur heard these words, he flushed all scarlet, and rising in great anger, said, Well, it is for thee that thou speakest another man's words with thy lips, and not thy own. Thou hast thy message, which is the most insolent and villainous that ever man heard sent to any king. Now hear my reply. My beard is yet too young to trim that mantle of thy master's, with yet young although I be. I owe no homage either to him nor any man, nor will ever owe. But young although I be, I will have thy master's homage upon both his knees before this year be past, or else he shall lose his head by the faith of my body, for this message is the shamefullest I ever heard speak of. I see well thy king hath never yet met with a worshipful man, but tell that King Arthur will have his head or his worship right soon. If someone to take my beard away from me, I'll have the malice for that person as well. Can't grow a beard too. He's trying! He's too young! Twinkify is a wild statement. Hey, I didn't say... I just read it. You can blame Normal Size Phantom for this. You guys saying stuff in chat is basically putting words in my mouth. Then the messenger departed, and Arthur, looking round upon his knights, demanded of them if any there knew of this King Rience, Roos, Welsh. Yeah, answered Sir Norman. I know him well, and there be few better or stronger knights upon the field than he, and he is passing proudly and haughtily in his heart, wherefore I doubt not, Lord, he will make war on thee with mighty power. Well, said King Arthur, I shall be ready for him, and that shall he find. While the king thus spoke, there came into the hall a damsel having on a mantle richly furrowed, which she let fall, and showed herself to be girdled with a noble sword. The king, being surprised at this, said, Damsel, wherefore art thou girt with that sword? For it beseemeth thee not. Sir, said she, I will tell thee. This sword, wherein I am thus girt, gives me great sorrow and encumbrance, for I may not be delivered from it till I find a knight faithful and pure and true, strong of body and valiant of deeds, without guile or treachery, who shall be able to draw it from its scabbard, which no man else can do. But I have but just now come from the court of King Rience, for there they told me many great and good knights were to be found, but he and all its knights have tried to draw it forth in vain, for none of them can move it. Oh look, another sword in the stone! King Rince's world. This is a great marvel, said King Arthur. I will myself try to draw forth this sword, not thinking in my heart that I am the best knight, but rather to begin and give example to all may try after me. Saying this, he took the sword and pulled it with all his might, but he could not shake or move it. Honestly, a magical evil detecting sword to get your husband sounds like a great idea. Thou needest not strive so hard, lord, said the damsel, for whoever may be able to pull it forth shall do so very easily. Thou sayest well, replied the king, remembering how he had himself drawn forth the sword from the stone before St. Paul's. Now try ye, all my barons, but beware ye be not stained with shame or any treachery or guile. And turning away his face from them, King Arthur mused full heavily of sins with his breast he knew of, and which his failure brought to mind right sadly. Husband detector in this economy. Then all the barons present tried, each after another, but could none of them succeed, whereat the damsel greatly wept, and said, Alas, alas, I thought in this court to have found the best knight, without shame or treachery or treason. By now, chance there was at that time a poor knight with King Arthur, who had been prisoner at his court for half a year and more, charged with slaying unawares a knight who was a cousin of the king's. He was named Balin le Savage, and had been by the good officers of the barons delivered from the prison, for he was of good and valiant address and gentle blood. He being secretly present at the court saw this adventure, and felt his heart rise high with him, and longed to try the sword, as did the others. But being poor and poorly clad, he was ashamed to come forth in the press of knights and nobles. But in his heart he felt assured that he could do better, if heaven willed, than any knight among them. Best way to find a good and honest partner. Step 1, get a magical sword that can test others' virtue. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit. Step 2, royal secrets. I think Balin is the brother of Dwalin. Question, I, having distress doing my daily chores, do meet the check boxes being a damsel. I would say you could be a distressed damsel, you just need to go get a magic sword now. And then you can go find a wife or a husband. So as the damsel left the knight, he called to her and said, Damsel, I pray thee of thy courtesy, suffer me to try the sword as well as all these lords, for though I be but poorly clad, I feel assurance in my heart. The damsel, looking at him, saw in him a likely, honest man, but because of his poor garments could not think him be any knight of worship, and said, Sir, there is no need to put me to any more pain or labour. Why shouldest thou succeed, where so many worthy ones have failed? Ah, fair lady. Fuck it, we ballin'. Objective. So you could either find a wife, or you could hope that you can get past the virtue detector and find a damsel with a sword. Either way. You can be... We're not sexist here. You can be either of these people. This feels like some kind of soulmate AU nonsense. There's an AU. There's some kind of ship AU somewhere in some fandom that has used this. Ah, fair lady, answered Balin, worthiness and brave deeds are not shown by fair raiment, but manhood, and truth lie hid within the heart. There may be worshipful knights unknown to all people. By my faith, thou sayest true, replied the damsel. Try therefore, if thou wilt, what thou canst do. So Balin took the sword by the girdle and hilt, and drew it lightly out. Looking on its workmanship and brightness, it pleased him greatly. But the king and all his barons marvelled at Sir Balin's fortune, and many knights were envious of him, for truly, said the damsel, this is a passing good knight, and the best man I have ever found, and the most worshipful, free from treason, treachery, or villainy, and the wonders he shall achieve. Maybe the real wife is the sword we found along the way. Fair point. There is a manga about a yandere sword out there. Is that the one reincarnated as a sword? Maybe the real sword was the wife we found along the way. You know what I got my fiance as an engagement gift? A dagger. He didn't want to watch or anything, which is kind of seems to be a thing that a lot of people do. And I was like, so what do you want? And he was like, I saw the lesbians. The lesbians give each other weapons. I would like one. I was like, okay, here's your dagger. Nah, that's anime adaptation. The one I'm talking about is a niche manga. Oh, okay. So yes, my husband is a male lesbian. Yes, correct. 100%. Now, gentle and courteous knight, continued she, turning to Balin, give me the sword again. Nay, said Sir Balin, save it be taken from me by force. I shall persevere this sword for evermore. Thou art not wise, replied the damsel, to keep it from me, for if thou wilt do so, thou shalt slay with it the best friend thou hast, and the sword shall be thine, destruction also. Brutus foreshadowing. Well, it's not an expect engagement gifts, it's just a case of when you do engagements, the lady gets a nice expensive ring, and it feels bad that the man doesn't get anything. So me and like people in my circle have always wanted to get the man some kind of engagement gift too, because like I get a lovely pretty ring, he gets bugger all. So I'm like, I would like to get you something to commemorate it for you as well. And he didn't want a ring, he didn't want like a watch or anything. So yeah, that's how the dagger worked. Like that. Men deserve pretty gifts for when they get engaged too. If I ever get myself by full when I propose to her, instead of an engagement ring, I will get an engagement dagger. Probably will have to do it somewhere other than a fancy. Yes, I had to get ID'd to buy the dagger I got. Although it's got a little bit in the hilt that opens up, so you can put a note in there. It's a lover's dagger, so you're supposed to put in like a little token favor in the dagger, so that when you get a war, you have a token from your darling. It's cute. What was that saying? A man who receives flowers twice on their wedding or their funeral. Exactly! Men deserve gifts! They deserve gifts for engagement. They deserve gifts randomly. They deserve gifts for Valentine's Day. Give your men... I mean, yeah, most of you are men, but... You deserve gifts. You deserve a woman or a man or whatever you end up with who gives you gifts. And if you're a woman... give your man gifts. Or if you're a person who likes men, give your men gifts. They deserve it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Is anyone in your circle wanting to get engaged? I could use a tag. My girlfriend showers me with gifts and kept trying to pay for things. Yay! As it should be! You found a good one. You found a real good one there, Howdy. I'm so glad things go well for you. Except don't take... If they give you a gift, like a sword like this, but then tell you to go kill your best friend with it, question that, okay? That's still toxic. You might have got a gift, but that's still toxic. I will take whatever adventure God may send, said Balin, but the sword I will keep, by the faith of my body. Thou will repent it shortly, said the damsel. I would take the sword for thy sake rather than for mine, for I am passing grieved and heavy for thy sake, who wilt not believe the peril I foretell thee. With that she departed, making great lamentations. Thankfully enough, she just bought me fine liner pens and not a murder plot. Good, good, good. Happy Thanksgiving to the baddies, just for the turkey, and never takes it back. I wouldn't use the dagger to stab my fiancé, promise. I just realised that might sound weird. But you have other enemies to conquer. Fair, fair. I don't have any friends that are looking to get engaged right now. But if you do, you should be like, oh, well, wouldn't it be nice if I got something too and you could drop the hint? Then Balin sent for his horse and armour, and took his leave of King Arthur, who urged him to stay at his court, for, he said, I believe that thou art displeased that I showed thee unkindness. Blame me not overmuch, for I was misinformed against thee, and know not what a knight of worship thou art. Abide in this court with my good knights, and I will so advance thee that thou shalt be well pleased. God thank thee, Lord, said Balin, for no man can reward thy bounty in thy nobleness. But at this time I must needs depart, praying thee ever hold me in thy favour. Truly, said King Arthur, I am grieved for thy departure, but tarry not long, and thou shalt be right welcome to me and all my knights when thou'st return. And I will repair my neglect, and all that I have done amiss against thee. God thank thee, Lord, again, said Balin, and made ready to depart. I mean, you could always tell her the story. Oh, this VTuber I watched, when she got engaged, she got her fiancé a dagger, and I think that was really cute. Hint, hint. God forbid the friend is named Brutus. But meanwhile came into the court a lady upon horseback, fully richly dressed, and saluted King Arthur, and asked him for the gift he had promised her, when she gave him his sword Excalibur. For, she said, I am the Lady of the Lake. Ask what thou wilt. Wait, is the lady... So Balin's left and the Lady of Lakes come back. And thou shalt have it, if I have the power to give. I ask, said she, the head of that knight who hath just achieved the sword, or else the damsel's head who brought it, or else both. For the knight slew my brother, and the lady caused my father's death. Truly, said King Arthur, I cannot grant this desire. It were against my nature and against my name. But ask whatever else thou wilt, and I will do it. I will demand no other thing, said she. And as she spoke, came Balin on his way to leave the court, and saw her where she stood, and knew her straightway for his mother's murderess, whom he had sought in vain 3 years. And when they told him what she had asked King Arthur for his head, he went up straight to her and said, May evil have thee! Thou desirest my head, therefore shalt thou lose thine. And with his sword he highly smote her head off, in the presence of the king and all the court. Alas, for shame! Cried out King Arthur, rising up in wrath. Why hast thou done this, shaming both me and my court? I am beholden greatly to this lady, and under my safe conduct she came here. Thy deed is passing shameful. Never shall I forgive thy villainy. Lord, cried Sir Balin, hear me. This lady was the falsest living, and by her witchcraft hath destroyed many, and caused my mother also to be burnt to death by her false arts and treachery. What cause soever thou mightest have had, said the king, thou shouldest have forborne her in my presence. Deceive not thyself, thou shalt repent this sin, for such a shame was never brought upon my court. Depart now from my face with all the haste thou mayest. I feel like the place for characters' backstory is before they meet. Yeah! Like I said, this is kind of a fun thing of how we've changed in our storytelling over the years, because obviously this is a compilation of a lot of oral tales that came from King Arthur. Obviously a lot of King Arthur stories were just people nattering, people around the fire telling stories. And maybe some of them were written down, maybe some of them weren't, and this is just some guy compiling them together. But when you're nattering around the campfire, you just be like, and then this lady turned up. Who's she? She's this person who did this thing. And then Balin knows him. And and you'd be doing stuff like that. So it's kind of funny how, because we don't have that form of oral storytelling so much anymore, we adhere so much to story structure that this all sounds so weird and out of place, and being like, haha, why isn't the backstory in the backstory? It's just fun. It's just fun how storytelling has adapted and all that stuff. This is less of a narrative and more like a loose collection of Arthur's French shenanigans. Correct! Boys' night got crazy, it did. Depart now from my face with all the haste thou mayest. Then Balin took up the head of the lady and carried it to his lodgings, and rode forth with his squire from out of the town. Then said he, Now must we depart. Take ye this head and bear it to my friends in Northumberland, and tell them how I speed, and that our worst foe is dead. Also tell them that I am free from prison, and the adventure of my sword. Alas, said the squire, ye are greatly to blame to have displeased King Arthur. As for that, said Sir Balin, I go now to find King Rience and destroy him, or lose my life. For should I take him prisoner and lead him to the court, perchance King Arthur would forgive me, and become my good and gracious lord. Where shall I meet thee? Said the squire. In King Arthur's court. And that... Balin took the head. What about the body? He just left the body. Just left the body there in King Arthur's castle. It's exactly what happened. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to today's stream. I will be streaming next week as well, because luckily Christmas kind of sits between my regular streaming time. There's a chance I might be too tired next Sunday to stream, if only because I have a lot of socializing to do. So I might die instead. We don't know. I'll see what my beans are like at the time. I'll schedule a reading stream, but we'll see. Thanks for the hard work. Yeah, thank you for the hard work of listening to me now. So, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone in chat. Thank you anyone look. Thank you anyone who watches the VOD. I really appreciate you coming and hope you enjoyed, no matter which way you decide to enjoy it. If you have not already, I'd also highly appreciate it if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you're on Twitch, give the channel a cheeky follow. That would make me very happy. I will be back tomorrow with Stars and Time. Hopefully social. I know, right? I have a big family gathering. The Smith family is gathering, and I must be there. It's gonna be a day, but it's okay. I will live to fight another day. Hope you're all ready for Christmas. It's soon. 4 days away, apparently. Just 4. It's terrifying. It's crazy. It's kind of stuck up on us. Always does, though. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. It's go time. It's go time. Will Smith be there? No. Different Smith gathering. Have fun with your full English breakfast with beans. Oh, no. It's just gonna be bacon butties. Bacon butties. Jade Smith? Maybe. Maybe. Many Smiths. At least... At least 9. 9 Smiths. Anyway. Thank you for coming. Check out all the links in the description to all my things. Audiobook. Game. Members. Patrons. All that good shit. Bacon with the bubs. Yeah. The blacksmiths. Yes. We craft. We just all go into the forge and we just make things for Christmas. Anyway, yes, it is time to go. Time to go. Time to go. I had fun. I hope you had fun. This has been Bryony Smith, live in the Library. Goodbye.